Hello, my beautiful people of YouTube. Today we're gonna be talking about the good old speed square. The thing that's a triangle, but we call it a square, you know? So obviously this is a tool that's used for efficiency if you couldn't gather that by the name. But today we're gonna go over some basics of how to use this thing to its potential. And I'm not gonna do the little plumb bob thing, you know? I'm not doing it. I'm sorry, guys. I'm not gonna do it. Obviously it's a triangle, but it's called a square because it's creating a line that is perpendicular to whatever you're bumping the edge off of. You need two sets of perpendicular lines to create a square. Perfectly perpendicular lines, because if they're perpendicular, this right here is going to be 90 degrees. If you wanted to check that, you could measure up 3 inches here. Act like you're hooking it. 5 inches here. Or, whoops, 4 inches here, I'm sorry. And then it should be 5 inches from that point to that point. The next thing you can do with this, or the next most common use, is using the protractor or the degree section. So if you had to make a cut to make something plumb and say you needed to cut it 15 degrees, you would slide, make sure this pivot point is bumped up, slide this until the 15 degrees is running parallel, or directly in line, I should say, with the edge of the board. Then you're going to mark the long side. This, oops, sorry, I'm pointing you guys down a little too much. This is your 15 degree angle, okay? Another common one, if you need to make a 45 degree angle, so instead of you making a box, say you're making one like this, these angles right here are going to be 22.5 degrees. So for that one, same pivot point. This is your 20 mark, 22, and you're going to be in between 22 and 23. And that would be 22.5. Okay, so then 45. This is an easy one because this is going to be 45 degrees. If you'd like, you can double check that. Make sure that's on that pivot point. Right on that line. 45. Right across the edge of that board there. So another neat little trick with these, if you're doing layout, say this is where your layout is, and you're shooting a 2x4, 1.5 inch mark right here. Slide that over, boom. Now you got both sides of your layout marked. Next thing you can do is, I always get these with the notches along the rail here. This is so you can scribe along the edge of something. Say if I needed to rip this out, if I wanted to keep 1.5 inches of this, and then I need the rest to go, I'd slide this up to here, go to the 1.5 inch mark, slide my square alongside. Now I exit out and know that needs to go. Hold on. I just wanted to take a second to say that the meat and a huge taco, both of you guys, I appreciate you so much, all the support, every video. I don't really know what else to say except for it's pretty cool seeing just people support all of my videos no matter what it is, even though I suck at making content a lot of times. But yeah, I appreciate you too. Thanks for all the support. You guys rock, bomb. You're the rock bomb. I don't know. Yeah, back to it. Now we can move on to the roof framing. As you see here, this is hip and valley cuts. These are commons. So this is your common rafter. This is like on a normal gable roof where you just have 2 rafters coming to a ridge. The hip and valley is when you have, say this is a bird's eye view. The roof comes like this, you'd have your ridge, and you'd have intersecting rafters here. Those would be your hip and valley rafters. All these ones. And then these ones back here would be commons. So commons are going to be the ones that are the gable side. Hip valley are the ones that are on hips and valleys. If you don't know how to use a framing square, you're probably not working on any hips yet, but we'll work you up to it, you know. So a pretty common roof pitch is 6 inches run for 12 inches drop, a 6-12. So the way that looks is, if our pivot point is right here, we swing this over to this number. Now we're looking at this number on the common section. Make that run along the edge of the board, marking this backside. And now this is going to be our plumb cut. The ridge is going to be the board up top that the rafters go to. So the plumb cut is going to be this one right here. Is the glare making that hard to see? Where you're going up to the ridge. It's called the plumb cut because this section of the cut, this will be plumb when you hang it along the ridge. Now, the other end of that, where you're going to sit on your wall, I shouldn't have made that so distinct, where you're going to sit on the wall, this is going to be called your seat cut because you are sitting on top of something. That is a terrible drawing, but we'll go into it. So for the seat cut, you're going to come to the bottom part of your line, and typically we're going to be landing on 3.5 inches. If you're landing on like a beam, not that hard to change, you just switch this measurement over. I've done a bird's mouth explanation video, but this is more of a speed square video. Okay, so the seat cut, what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to have your plumb line. You're going to put really, it's probably a bit better to do this with a framing square, but you can do it with a speed square. You're going to slide up along the line until 3.5 inches is on the edge of your board. You mark that, you cut this out, and that would sit on top of your wall, making it your seat cut, or bird's mouth as most people call it. Some squares have a hole where you can put a nail in and then make a circle with. This one is not one of those. I suppose you could drive a nail here. I mean, you could drill a hole, but you could drive a nail and try and stay on it, but that'd be kind of tough. That is basically it. Like I said, I like to get one that has all of these notches so I can do any sort of scribing if I need a board that's 4 inches long, 3.5, 3.25, doesn't matter. Got it right here.